أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رحم الله من قرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين الحمد لله أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله بارئ الخلائق الأجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء حبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ثم الصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين لا سيما ولي الله الحجة ابن الحسن صاحب الأمر والزمان اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الأولين والآخرين إلى قيام يوم الدين آمين رب العالمين أما بعد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم ذكر علي عبادة صدق النبي وآمنا به نوروا مجالسكم بذكر محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرج أحبائي. Continuing from the series of our lectures over the last couple of nights in regards to understanding or gaining a glimpse of the status of Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayh through the fada'il and the seerah of Nabi Eesa alayhi salam as mentioned in the Quran. For we established over the last few nights, it is as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put forward for us the fada'il of Nabiullah Eesa, the merits of Nabi Eesa, such that it can be a mirror through which the fada'il of Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam is reflected. And the seerah of Nabi Eesa in particular and the Anbiya in general, their seerah and their struggles and their merits that are mentioned in the Quran through this manhaj becomes a door of ma'rifah and the door in tafsir al-Quran through which the status of Ahlul Bayt is understood within this divine book of Allah Azza wa Jal. Continuing on tonight, Ahibba'i, the verse that we would like to analyze from the Holy Quran, Surah Ali Imran. For we established over the last few nights a number of comparisons between Nabi Eesa and Amirul Mu'mineen. Both of them source of barakah. Yani Nabiullah Eesa says that I was placed to be one who is Mubarak, for source of barakah. Both of them, we said, were commanded in terms of zakat and salat, but Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam combined the salat and the zakat in a single act, as we had mentioned in the last few nights of the majalis. Moving on for today, Ahibba'i, Surah Ali Imran, verse number 49. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Yani this is the conversation or the words for Nabiullah Eesa. وَرَسُولًا إِلَى بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ أَنِّي قَدْ جِئْتُكُمْ بِآيَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ أني أخلق لكم من الطين كهيئة الطير فأنفخ فيه فيكون طيرا بإذن الله وأبرئ الأكمه والأبرص وأحيي الموتى بإذن الله وأنبئكم بما تأكلون وما تدخرون في بيوتكم إن في ذلك لآية لكم إن كنتم مؤمنين. This verse of the Holy Quran goes on to narrate the Hujjiyah, or the tools or the avenues through which the Hujjiyah of Nabi Isa alayhi salam was established over the people, where he says that I am a prophet sent to you, Bani Israel. أني قد جئتكم بآية من ربكم, and I have been given the ayat, yani the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of your Lord. What are the signs through which the hujjiyah and the authority of Nabi Isa was established over the people? Number one, أني أخلق لكم من الطين كهيئة الطير فأنفخ فيه فيكون طيرا بإذن الله. I am able to shape together a bird. For example, it says, I am able to shape for you a bird from earth, from dust, and I shall blow into it, and with the permission of Allah, this bird shall come to life and fly away. I wahid, dalalat from the mu'jizat of Nabi Isa. Number two, وَأُبْرِئُ الْأَكْمَحَ وَالْأَبْرَصَ, yani 2 and 3. I am able to cure the blind. Akmah over here, yani a person who is born blind. Nabiullah Isa says these children, yani person who is blind in general, but akma generally linguistically is applicable on the one who is blind from birth. Nabi Isa says, I'm able to shape a bird in the shape of a bird from dust or from earth. I blow into it and it becomes a real live bird and flies away. Number two, I am able to cure the blind. Number three, I am able to cure the one with leprosy. Wa uhyil mauta, and I am able to bring the dead back to life bi'idhnillah, by the permission of Allah. Wa unabbi'ukum bima ta'kuluna wa ma tadakhirun fi buyutikum, and I even have knowledge of that what you consume and what you hide inside your houses. Me, without having seen them, I can tell you what they are. Ya'ani, an ishara towards ilmul ghayb. Inna fi dhalika, indeed within this, la'ayatan lakum in kuntum mu'minin, there are signs for you if you are believers. For you notice inside of this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the power of the mu'jizat, the ability to perform miracles that was granted to Nabi Isa. The reason for Nabi Isa, or one of the reasons for Nabi Isa alayhi salam to be endowed with the power of performing such miracles, was to establish his special position amongst the creation as a messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where he is able to perform feats that nobody else within the realm of existence was able to perform. And this then becomes a clear proof of the authenticity of the claim of Nabi Isa, and establish his position as a God-sent person, in that he can perform actions and has wilaya over the entire takween to an extent that no other human being has. The superiority of Nabi Isa is established over the people through the fact that he has been given the power to perform miracles such as these. And you notice that from all the miracles over here that are narrated for Nabiullah Isa alayhi salam in Surah Al Imran, Ahibba'i, the same power and more was granted to Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. For each one of these miracles, the shaping of a bird from earth until it came back to life, Amir al-Mu'mineen has a similarity towards this. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was able to cure the blind in the way Nabi Isa did. Amir al-Mu'mineen was able to cure those who have leprosy and other human diseases more severe than leprosy. Amir al-Mu'mineen. In fact, Bain al-Qawsain, you find that just coming into the blessed haram of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, being in the vicinity of the earth in which Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam is buried, people gain shafa'ah and are cured from lifelong illnesses in which no doctor, even with modern medicine, is able to cure. People have found the cure within the haram of Amir al-Mu'minin, just on the basis of the proximity of the pure earth in which Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam was buried. You notice, Nabiullah Eesa was alive and would touch people to cure them. Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam, the dharih that covers the grave of Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam, in itself has divine powers through the power of attribution, because it is attributed and associated with the grave of Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam. فَإِنْتَبِحُوا. And there is, Sadiqoni, we could have majlis over majlis explaining and narrating and recounting each and every one of these miracles of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam in the way he cured the people. However, I want to concentrate on one of these for you tonight. وَأُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. Nabiullah Eesa was endowed with the power of raising the dead back to life. Mufassirin of the Quran, Ahibba'i, have a difference of opinion into exactly how many people Nabiullah Eesa brought back to life. Majma'ul Bayan, for example, Mufassirin are of the opinion, for example, in the Tafsir Majma'ul Bayan, that Nabi Eesa alayhi salam brought back to life 4 individuals. And there are other historians who are of the opinion that there were more than 4, but 4 was narrated or 4 was counted for. In any case, the point over here is that one of the merits of Nabiullah Eesa was that he was able to bring the dead back to life. With the advancement of medicine at his time, he was able to perform a feat that no other person within the field of medicine was able to do: raise the dead back to life. And through this, his superiority was established over the people. Hamnafsu shi, the same power and greater was granted to Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, where it is narrated during the life of Rasulullah and after the Shahada of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam brought the dead back to life in order to prove his position as the wasi of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I shall recount for you, Ahibba'i, one narration which is narrated. Wasarahatan, there are so many of these incidences. By the way, Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam didn't bring back the dead to life on just 1 or 2 occasions. Multiple occasions that have reached us. Keep in mind, and this is with a great part of our literature being destroyed, but even then, we have multiple occasions for this. Qissa kullish jamila. This is an incident which is absolutely amazing and intriguing, and every aspect of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam's life is intriguing. This narration and this incident is mentioned by Sayyid Hashim al-Bahrani rahmatullah alayhi, one of the greatest scholars of Tashayyu. Hadith al-Sharif is narrated by Abu Ja'far Maytham al-Tammar. Allah. For the narrator of this entire incident is who? Maytham al-Tammar. Maytham al-Tammar, this great companion of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, was given the title of Abu Ja'far. And as you may know, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant all of us the opportunity to perform the ziyarah of the Ma'sumin in the blessed land of Iraq. Those who have been blessed to be to the cities of Najaf and Najaf al-Ashraf and Kufa al-Kufa al-Mukarrama, you will find that the grave of Maytham al-Tammar alayhi salam is not very far from Masjid al-Kufa. Maytham al-Tammar, and inshallah, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants us life, we shall have a lecture particularly on the life or the biography of Maytham al-Tammar. the companion of Amir al-Mu'mineen, the companion and the great believer in Ahlul Bayt, where Mitham al-Tammar was granted and was blessed with ilmul balaya wal manaya. He was one of those trusted companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, who was endowed and entrusted with knowledge of the unseen, knowledge of the future, knowledge of what will be when it hasn't even come into being. This is what Iman and what taqwa and what loyalty did Mitham at-Tammar have, such that he was blessed with such a blessing to be entrusted by Amir al-Mu'mineen. Mitham at-Tammar is that individual who many years even after the istishhad of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, he would meet with Habib ibn Madahir in the city of Kufa. They would sit with each other and they would exchange prophecies of how each and every one of them will be martyred in the way of Ahlul Bayt, years to come. And when the people used to listen to them, they used to think these are two insane people, majaneen, insane people who are speaking with each other. But subhanallah, the lovers of Ahlul Bayt have always known to be from the majaneen. And this is a kalam on its own. In any case, Mitham at-Tammar, this grand companion of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, who himself attained the position of Shahada when he was crucified on the palm tree by Ibn Ziyad al-La'in, such that the final words that were uttered by Mitham at-Tammar while he was crucified on a palm tree is that he was reciting the Fada'il of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, recounting the merits and the superiority of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. So, in any case, Mitham at-Tammar Ahibba'i is the narrator of this incident, where he says, كنت بين يدي أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام في جامع الكوفة. I was with Amir al-Mu'mineen in Masjid al-Kufa, and the people والناس مجتمعون في جماعة من أصحابه وأصحاب رسول الله. And there was an entire group of companions, yani the companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen and the companions of Rasulullah. And Amir al-Mu'mineen was seated between the companions, and his complexion shining like the radiant moon around the stars or the moon in the sky. Mitham at-Tammar goes on to say, وَإِذْ دَخَلَ عَلَيْنَا مِنَ الْبَابِ رَجُلٌ طَوِيلٌ. And as we were seated around Amir al-Mu'mineen inside Masjid al-Kufa, a person entered through one of the doors. And this person, in his physical characteristics, had certain things that stood out about him. Number one, he was an extremely tall person, and he was wearing a qaba. He was wearing a robe that was not from the regular clothing of the people of Iraq. وَقَدْ اعْتَمَّ بِأَمَامَةٍ التَّحَمِيَّةٍ or أَتْحَمِيَّةٍ. He was wearing a particular type of an amama, safra, that was yellow in color. وَهُوَ مُتَقَلِّدٌ بِسَيْفَيْنِ. And this person was brandishing two swords, yani he had two swords by his side. He entered into the masjid without saying salam to anybody, without looking at anybody. For you can imagine, a person has entered into Masjid al-Kufa brandishing two swords by his side, wearing clothing that is not even from the clothing of the people of Iraq. فَإِنْتُمْ صَوِّرُوا, you're sitting in a place of gathering or in a mosque, and the Shabab will be able to relate to this. You have a person or a congregation that is sitting within the mosque, and you have somebody who comes into the mosque and is wearing clothing which is absolutely different, for example, from ours, in such a way that it attracts the attention. It says, وَقَدْ وَقَفَ عَلَيْهِ النَّاسِ مِنْ جَمِيعِ الْآفَاقِ. He says, all the people were looking at him from all the different aspects of the mosque. This person entered inside and he cried out to the people. He says, أَيُّكُمُ الْمُجْتَبَى فِي الشُّجَاعَةِ. He says, which one of you has the title of Mujtaba and is known for his courage? وَأَيُّكُمْ الْمَوْلُودُ فِي الْحَرَمِ, which one of you was born in the Kaaba? وَالْمَوْصُوفُ بِالْكَرَمِ, and the one who has the characteristic of unknown and infinite generosity. He goes on to say, أيكم غصن أبي طالب الرتيب, which one of you is from the offsprings of this Abi Talib, وبتله المهيب, and this grand battalion, والسهم المصيب, and that arrow that never loses its target. Yani, he is speaking in a very poetic manner and describing the merits of Amirul Mu'mineen, the arrow that never misses its target, yani that warrior in the battlefield, for every time he raises his sword, he never misses his opponent. Ayyukum Khalifatu Rasulillah, which one of you is the Khalifa of Rasulullah? Alladhi nasarahu fi zamanih, the one who gave victory to the Holy Prophet during the lifetime of the Prophet. وَإِعْتَزَّ بِهِ سُلْطَانُهُ, and because of this person, the sultana, yani the government of Rasulullah became aziz and strong. أَيُّكُمْ قَاتِلُ Amr ibn Abdul Wad, which one of you is the killer of Amr ibn Abdul Wad? Allah, this incident is happening in Masjid al-Kufa, yani after the battle of Jamal, and yet you find this person, when he wants to find out who is the Khalifa of Rasulullah, he describes him by asking who is the killer of Amr ibn Abdul Wad, which is the battle of Ahzab. For the battle of Ahzab happened in the early years of Islamic history, in the beginning, in the first years of the establishment of the government of Rasulullah. And now, 35, 40 odd years later, in Masjid al-Kufa, still people are speaking about the battle of Ahzab and who the killer of Amr ibn Abdul Wad was. Allah. This Amr ibn Abdul Wad, by the way, was equivalent to 1,000 warriors, they would say, in the battlefield. If you had Amr ibn Abdul Wad on your side or in your army, he was the equivalent of 1,000 horsemen. And you find that history doesn't exaggerate, because there are pointed times where this man, Amr ibn Abdul Wad, the enemy of Allah, who was sent to Jahannam wa bi'sa al-masir by the hands of Amirul Mu'mineen, had proved his physical strength in other battles during the time of Jahiliyyah. 1,000 horsemen, such that in the battle of Ahzab, when Amr ibn Abdul Wad struck Amirul Mu'mineen with the sword, Amirul Mu'mineen says, when I defended myself from the strike of Amr ibn Abdul Wad, the intensity and the weight with which the strike hit me, I felt as if the sky has fallen upon me. Allah, this is Amir alayhi salam who's talking. Who is this Amr ibn Abdul Wad? And look at the feat that Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam achieved in the battle of Ahzab. So he says, which one of you is the killer of Amr ibn Abdul Wad? When he said this, فَإِنَّ ذَلِكَ رَفَعَ أَمِيرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَأْسَهُ إِلَيْهِ. Amirul Mu'mineen raised his head towards him, and he said to him, this is a man who is a stranger in the city of Kufa, who has come unannounced. Nobody knows his name. Nobody knows who he is. He's come with these strange clothing, which is a clothing of not of the people of the city, and asked for the Khalifa of Rasulullah by reciting all his fada'il. فأمير المؤمنين says, Ya Sa'id ibn al-Fadl ibn al-Madraka ibn Najbah ibn Salt ibn al-Harith ibn Za'ar ibn al-Ash'ath ibn Abi Sam'amah al-Rumi, is'al ma shi'ta. Ajib. Amirul Mu'mineen said, Amirul Mu'mineen referred to the person, his name was Sa'id. Amirul Mu'mineen says to him, O Sa'id, you who is the son of Fadl, who is the son of Madraka, who is the son of Najba, like this, Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 generations mentioned this person not only by his name, but mentioned 8 generations of his father and forefathers. Allah. Yani Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. We said the last night or the nights before that within the ziyarah we recite, and the Imam recognizes his Za'ir by the names of their fathers and the names of their forefathers and their actions. Over here, Amirul Mu'mineen says to him, calls him by his name and mentions 8 grandfathers from his lineage to make sure that the people know that even the ilm of genealogy of the entire creation is with Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And I have more to say on this, but kafi for now. Is'al ma shi'it. Ask whatever you want. فَأَنَا عَيْبَةُ عِلْمِ النُّبُوَّةِ. For indeed, I am the holder of the knowledge of Nabuwwah, of prophethood in its entirety. Qal, this person, Sa'id, says, قَدْ بَلَغَنَا عَنْكَ أَنَّكَ وَسِيُّ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ وَخَلِفَتَهُ عَلَى قَوْمِهِ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ وَأَنَّكَ مُحَلِّلُ الْمُشْكِلَاتِ. Word has reached us from this faraway city which he has come from. He says, word has reached us that you claim to be the successor of Rasulullah and you claim to be his Khalifa, and that you are وَأَنَّكَ مُحَلِّلُ الْمُشْكِلَاتِ. You are the solver of problems. نَادِ عَلِيًّا مَظْهَرَ الْعَجَائِبِ تَجِدْهُ لَكَ عَوْنًا تجده عونا لك في النوائب كل هم وغم سينجلي بعظمتك يا الله بنبوتك يا محمد بولايتك يا علي. All problems disappear through your wilaya ya Amirul Mu'mineen. The way we say mushkil khusha, yani the one who makes problems disappear, Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. These were titles for which Amir was known at that time. He says, we have heard this about you. He says, this person Sa'id, I am an individual who has been sent on behalf of a delegation of وَأَنَا رَسُولٌ إِلَيْكَ مِنْ سِتِّينَ أَلْفَ رَجُلٍ. I have been sent to you on behalf of 60,000 men in my city. And they have made me, or they have tasked me to bring a dead person with me. They have tasked me to bring a dead person with me to you. And the 60,000 people in our city have all got different opinions in regards to the death of this young individual. And if the perpetrator of this crime, yani if the killer of this person who has died, this youth, the killer of this youth, if he is not found, 60,000 people will cause havoc within the city and a civil war will break out between us. For I have come to you, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, to find out from you who is the killer of this person. Who is the killer of this person? This dead man over here, this dead youth. Can you bring him to life such that he himself can attest as to who his killer was? Because if you cannot do this and his killer is not established, a civil war is going to break out, number one. And number two, if you cannot bring him to life, then I will know and I shall tell the people in my city that your claim as the Khalifa of Rasulullah is nothing but fabricated. Allahu Akbar. He didn't only want to know from Imam and the ilmul ghaib of the Imam as to who the killer of this young man is. He wanted Amirul Mu'mineen to raise this person from the dead so he can bear testimony and witness against his killers. Hadith says, entire people in Masjid al-Kufa were looking at Amirul Mu'mineen. The entire people within Masjid al-Kufa congregated to see how Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam is going to respond. The hadith says, فقال الإمام, the Imam said to Amir al-Mu'mineen, the Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam said, قال أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام يا ميثم اركب بعيرك ونادي في شوارع الكوفة ومحالها وكل من أراد أن ينظر إلى ما أعطاه الله عليا أخا رسول الله وزوج ابنته من العلم الرباني فليخرج إلى النجف فأسرع الناس إلى النجف. Amir al-Mu'mineen said to Mitham, O Mitham, ride your horse or ride your donkey and go into the streets of Kufa and into the shops and alleyways of Kufa and make an announcement. Tell to the people, whoever wishes to see the grace which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted to Ali, the brother of the Holy Prophet and the husband of his daughter, if they want to see what Allah has given Ali from this divine ilm, then they should all come out towards the deserts of Najaf. Najaf al-Ashraf and the Kufa at that time were not the same locality. Kufa was the city, and Najaf, where we have the grave of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, was in the outskirts of the city of Kufa. They said, come out into the outskirts of the city, into the desert, and you will be able to see what Allah has granted to Ali ibn Abi Talib. Hadith says, Mitham at-Tamar made the announcement. And everybody from the dwellers of the city of Kufa, and you know, within the city of Kufa, there were the lovers of Amir al-Mu'mineen. There were those who were the Shia, and then there were those who were from the Muhibbeen. They were from the lovers, but not from the Shia. And then there was the Mukhalifeen. There were also Yahud within the city of Kufa. There were Amawis who were in the city of Kufa. There were those who believed in the Khilafah of the Ahl al-Saqifa. There were traitors, all type of people with all type of political backgrounds and ideological backgrounds and differences were gathered in the city of Kufa, were residents of the city of Kufa. They all came out from the city into Najaf al-Ashraf to witness this miracle of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Amir al-Mu'mineen then said to this person, Sa'ad, come out with your deceased, come out with the dead body to the deserts of Najaf, and you will see how I shall bring him back to life. The narrations mention that they all gathered in the deserts of Najaf al-Ashraf. The dead body was laid down on the ground. Amir al-Mu'mineen is standing by the dead body, and the residents of Kufa have all surrounded Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam to witness this. The hadith mentions, for Amir al-Mu'mineen stood by him, فَحَمِدَ اللَّهِ وَأَثْنَى عَلَيْهِ وَذَكَرَ النَّبِي فَصَلَّى عَلَيْهِ. Amir al-Mu'mineen praised Allah and began to praise Allah and began to recite blessings upon the Holy Prophet. He recited certain words which we believe are words of secrecy, this ilm that nobody has except him, Rasul, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From the words and the secrets of this ilm that was granted to him, Allah, the narration mentions that Amirul Mu'mineen said to this dead body, Qum bi'idhnillah, Ya Madraka ibn Handala, ibn Ghussan, ibn Buhair, ibn Salama, ibn Tayyib, ibn al-Ash'ath. فَقَدْ أَحْيَاكَ اللَّهُ عَلَى يَدْ عَلِيَّ ibn Abi Talib, وَسِيِّ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ. Amirul Mu'mineen says to him, O person, yani he took the name of this dead person, Madraka, the son of Handala, the son of Ghussan, the son of Buhair, the son of Salama, the son of Tayyib, the son of Ash'ath. Yani Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam calls him by his name and mentions the dhikr of 6 generations of his grandfather. And he says to him, wake up or come back to life, for indeed Allah has given you life through the hands of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Maytham at-Tammar says, Fanna hadha gulamun. This dead body, this young lad, this young man who was dead, suddenly woke up and appeared to be in a sitting position. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajah. Not only did this young man, who was dead for 41 days prior to this incident, he sat up, he wiped the dust from his body, and he said, لبيك لبيك يا حجة الله على الأنام المتفرد حجة الله على الأنام المتفرد بالفضل والإنعام. Labbaik, labbaik. For what we understand is this young man who was dead or who was killed was from the Muwali, was from one of the Shi'as of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Because in the way that when he stood up from the dead, the first thing that he said is, Labbaik ya Hujjatallah. For Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam asks, and who killed you? Because to identify your killer is of utmost importance. 60,000 people are claiming to seek vengeance for your blood, and a civil war can break out in your city. The man, or this dead man, went on to confess that it was one of his family members who killed him because of a marital feud that had occurred. The people were absolutely astonished at this miracle of Amir al-Mu'mineen. But even more beautiful than this, look at what Amir al-Mu'mineen says. For this dead person who has come back to life has fulfilled his purpose. He has identified the killer. Amir al-Mu'mineen has brought him to life. But through this miracle, he has established his imamat and his khilafah. He has established one way of, or one additional manner from all the other proof that is over there. Not that the imamat of Amir al-Mu'mineen is dependent upon him doing this. Abadan la. But look at what Amir al-Mu'mineen says. فَإِلْتَفَتَ الْإِمَامِ Maytham says, فَإِلْتَفَتَ الْإِمَامِ إِلَى غُلَامٍ. The Imam turned towards this young boy and he said to him, انطلق إلى قومك وأخبرهم بذلك. Amir al-Mu'mineen says to this dead young man who has just been raised from the dead back to life, he said, go back to your community, go back to your town and to your city, and explain to them, and you be a witness and tell them who has killed you and save them from these trials and tribulations, in addition to the person who brought him over here as a witness. What does he say? This young man who has been brought back to life by Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam says, قال يا مولاي لا حاجة لي إليهم. I have no need to go back to them. أخاف أن يقتلونني مرة أخرى. I fear that they may kill me for a second time. ولا يكون عندي من يحييني. I am afraid that if I go back to them, they will kill me for a second time. And if they kill me for a second time, there will be no one like you to bring me back to life. Allahu Akbar. قال فالتفت الإمام إلى صاحبه وقال له امضى إلى أهلك فاخبرهم. So Amir al-Mu'mineen turned towards the person who had initially brought him, the tall person by the name of Sa'id, and he said to him, go back to your city and to your town and inform them of this incident. As for the young man who was brought back to life, he said, Ya Mawlaya, Wallah ma ufarikuka hatta ya'ti Allah bil ajal min indih. The young man who was brought back to life from the dead said to Amir al-Mu'mineen, as for me, by Allah, I shall never separate from you. I shall never leave your side until Allah Azza wa Jal ordains upon me death for a second time. The narrations mention that this person, this young man who was brought back to life from the dead, remained with Amir al-Mu'mineen in the city of Kufa and participated in the battle of Siffin until eventually he was shaheed in the battle of Siffin. He is from one of the shuhada of the battle of Siffin by the name of Madraka ibn Handhalah. فصلوا على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. For you notice, Ahibai, these incidents in which Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam brought people back to life. For when people, I'm telling you this at the time of the city of Kufa, during the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen, when people would read from the verses of the Quran like Surah Ali Imran, they would read verses of Nabi Eesa that says, wa uhyi al-mawta wa uhyi al-mawta bi-idhnillah. They would read in the Quran that Eesa used to raise the dead back to life, and in their lifetimes they would say Amirul Mu'mineen do this. Yani the reflection of the words of Nabiullah Eesa alayhi salam in the actions of Amirul Mu'mineen. Wa ahna, the same thing, ya ahibbai, which is why you go back to the first hadith that we mentioned on the first night where Rasulullah said that those, if you wanted to see Adam in his ilm and Ibrahim in his forbearance and Isa in his ibadah, then he should look at Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. فَيَا أَحِبَّائِ kalam tawil. There is a lot to say in this discussion of understanding the status of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam through the status of Nabiullah Isa. Then inshallah, if Allah Azza wa Jal grant us another opportunity, we shall continue with this bahath. Ahibai, tonight, the 22nd night of Shahrul Ramadan, the first night in Masjid al-Kufa, or the first night in Kufa, where the house of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam is empty of Amir al-Mu'mineen. This house in which Amir al-Mu'mineen used to perform the salat, this house in which Amir al-Mu'mineen, the father of the Aitam and the leader of the Muslimin, this house was empty of Amir al-Mu'mineen. The hadith narrates, the historians, muhakkikin mention that the Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was buried in the darkness of the night before the time of Salatul Fajr, and only a few selected of his companions together with the khawas from the members of his family attended the Salatul Mayyit and escorted the Janaza outside of the city of Kufa to Najaf al-Ashraf, to the place in which Amir is buried, such that when they were passing from Kufa towards the grave of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, they passed through the area of Masjid al-Hanana, and it is mentioned that even the trees of Masjid al-Hanana bent down as if to be in a state of ruku out of respect for the janazah of Amir al-Mu'mineen as it passed through. For this is the first night for Sayyida Zainab al-Kubra in a house that is empty and void of her father Amirul Mu'mineen. The narrations mention that when Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam took his final breath on the deathbed, Imam Hassan and Imam al-Hussein had to hold back Sayyida Zainab al-Kubra, and they had to console her because her grief knew no bounds. She wept and she beat her face, and Imam al-Mujtaba and Imam al-Hussein hugged her, knowing that the Shahada and the martyrdom of Amir al-Mu'mineen is that tragedy that shall open the doors of all other tragedies for Ahlul Bayt. For the narrations mention as Imam al-Hassan gave the ghusl and the kafan to Amir al-Mu'mineen, and he was placed in the tabut. As the tabut was to leave the house in the darkness of the night, carried by Jibreel and Mikael in the front, before the tabut left the house, the Zainab al-Kubra cried out in a voice that was filled with grief. The historians say, Wallah, if the grief of Zainab could be quantified, then even the mountains would crumble from the intensity of the grief. But this is the heart of Sayyida Zainab, that Zainab who shall see the body of Imam al-Hussein being trampled under the hooves of the horses. Allah. As the janazah of Amir al-Mu'mineen was to be lifted, Sayyidah Zainab cries out to her brother Imam al-Mujtaba, and she says to him, Ya Aba Muhammad, before you take my coffin, before you take the coffin of my father, give me one final chance, one final opportunity to bid my father farewell. For they put the taboot on the ground, and Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba unveiled the coffin. Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra threw herself on the body of Amir al-Mu'mineen. She kissed her father on the forehead for a final time and bid him farewell. Allah, Allah. This is the last time Sayyidah Zainab shall see Amir al-Mu'mineen. When is the next time Sayyidah Zainab will see Amir al-Mu'mineen? Huh? The next time Sayyidah Zainab sees Amir al-Mu'mineen is Shame Ghariban on Laylatul Wahsha. The historians mention the Maqatil mention when the Khaymaga was burnt down to the ground and the tents were looted upon the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein. Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra gathered all the aitam, all the children, and with great difficulty she put them to sleep. On this night, Laylatul Wahsha, Shame Ghariban, Zainab became the defender of the Ahlul Bayt. She was the Abbas, she was the Hussein, and she was the Ali. As she sat in the darkness of the night in the open plains of Karbala, guarding the young children, she sees a horseman with a niqab around his face approaching towards her. Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra stood up and she says, Oh man, if you have come to plunder and to loot our tents, everything has already been burnt and everything has already been stolen. The man with the niqab, the horseman with the niqab, continues to approach towards Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra. She stood up and she said, Oh man, we have nothing and the children have just gone to sleep. Have mercy on them, and if you wish to steal from us, then return back in the morning. The man continues to approach towards Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra. At this moment, she picked up a broken spear from the Maidan and she says to him, O horseman, I forbid you for coming any closer towards me. The horseman continued to approach towards Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra. She raised the broken spear and she said, Oh man, I beseech you, for indeed I am the daughter of Ali ibn Abi Talib. As soon as she said this, the horseman came off his horse and removed his niqab. He said, Zainab, this is your father, Amir al-Mu'mineen. This is your father, Amir al-Mu'mineen. O Zainab, come to me, for on this night I shall give you comfort, Ya Zainab. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. اللهم إنا نسألك بحق أمير المؤمنين وبحق سيدة زينب الكبرى اللهم عجل لولينا الفرج. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the sake of Amir al-Mu'mineen and the sake of Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra to hasten the reappearance of Imam al-Hujjah. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the sake of Amir al-Mu'mineen and Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra to forgive us our sins on a night like this. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the sake of Amir al-Mu'mineen and the sake of Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra to accept our a'mal and to bless us with the best of the dunya and the akhirah during these nights of Qadr, by the sake of Amir al-Mu'mineen and Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the sake of Amir and Sayyidah Zainab. Ya Allah, mu'mineen and mu'minat who have gathered on this farsh al-azad, do not let anybody leave except that you have fulfilled their hajat. Ya Allah, by the sake of Amir al-Mu'mineen and Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra, mu'mineen and mu'minat who are not in the best of health, you grant them shafa'ah. By the sake of Amir al-Mu'mineen and Sayyidah Zainab al-Kubra, marhumin and marhumat who have passed away, Ya Allah, make their graves into a garden from the gardens of Jannah. وآخر الدعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. يقول الله تعالى في كتابه الحكيم: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.